Building Positive Families. Learn more right after this.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome to Community Watch. Greg,
Doc,
how you doing?
fine, brother. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm excited about the show today. I've been aware of this program for a little while,
We've done a show on this. We did a show on this before.
and it couldn't have been recently.
No, it's not been recent, but
Yeah.
we've done one before. Yeah.
So it interested me at the time. So I'm want to hear how it's going and
More like an update.
an update.
Yeah. Where are they now?
But the program is about families and raising children, and I know the Smiths have worked very hard on this, and so I mean it's needed and
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those programs that like LL Cool J said a long time. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I mean, what they're doing, they've been doing for a while.
Mhm.
I just think some people may now be learning more about the Smiths and the programs they run. But this is something that's been around for a while, and we know the impact that a strong family has. And so we know the impact of mentors. And so it'd be interesting to talk to them and see what progress and what things have changed over the years and to kind of catch up.
Well, we will be joined by our guests right after this and talk about building positive families. So do not go away. Stay with us.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals.
with opportunities outside of the classroom.
where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits to a bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college offers courses that fit my schedule.
It's where excellence begins.
We are.
We are
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're very happy to have with us today the Smiths, Coach and Regina. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello.
Now, Coach, you've been on the show quite a few times.
Different hats. So yeah.
Quite a few times.
It's been a while, I think,
Yeah.
since I've been here. But yeah, I have been here a few times.
Well, for those individuals who are not familiar with building positive families, if you could both tell us a little bit, not only about what the organization it is, but what drove you to start it.
Well, I'll speak on some of this, and then I'll let my wife talk on it too. The part that I'm going to talk about is the fatherhood component and the life skills component. As you know, for a long, long time, I replicated a program with the Commission on Children and Youth that was called Mail for Dads. And it was a fatherhood program that geared toward young dads and teaching, skills to rear and raise their children the right way, and also give them skills to find jobs and other components in life. And once that program, the governor's office stopped replicating and funding that program, I had a lot of phone calls that continued to call me for services and needs, different, men So me and my wife talked one day. We was on a trip, and we said, we need to put together this nonprofit to continue this work because it's so needed. There's not a lot of parenting classes in the area for people to see. Definitely, I didn't know of any life skill classes for teens and preteens. So we just decided to put this program together and reach out to the Boys and Girls Club, churches, Rome City Schools, the county schools, all the organizations here locally in Rome, and tried to partner with everybody that we could to try to make a difference with fathers and teens and preteens. Ms. Smith, you can go with the parenting.
Some of the other programs that we also offer are a parenting class, which we offer the first and second Tuesdays of each month. And also we do professional development to help parent educators or staff that works with families how to interact with families and children in our respective neighborhoods. And again, this came about because there was a void that we hope to address, in Rome, Floyd County area.
It's interesting that you talk about parenting. That I'm one of those people. I teach parenting classes. And part of my many hats that I wear, and you find very quickly that parenting. We all say the word parenting, but what that looks like, and what constructive parenting look like, it's amazing sometimes when you start working with families and you realize just simple things that you kind of take for granted that parents know that they don't. And when you say you need to go to a parenting class, it sounds kind of, parenting class, but you really have a lot of people who parenting is just not natural for them.
True.
They've struggled with it. And so parenting, I really believe, is the key to a lot of the problems that we have, that you have more productive, positive parents, that you probably wouldn't see some of the things that we see in our children. So I have to attest that there's a huge need for parenting classes, and a lot of people probably don't even consider those.
No. And I'm glad you shared it like that too, because I believe, and hopefully I hope to turn the corner, because you're right, most people think of parenting classes as something that they need or it's something that they're lacking. When you go through development stages with your children, by the time you think you've gotten it underhand, then they've moved to a different stage. And what we offer through our classes are how to understand your child, the ages and stages of development that they're going through. And it's constantly changing. So the classes aren't for someone that, I guess, quote unquote, needs parenting classes, as are you intentionally parenting? How do you stay ahead? You go to school when you want to learn something additional on your job, or, so to stay on top of something, and that's what we're doing, is offer parenting classes. I'm fortunate enough to do national training for parents as teachers, which is an agency that's based out of St. Louis, and I'm also a certified Georgia Strengthening Families trainer, and we work with not only, like Charles mentioned, the different agencies around Rome, but also some of the agencies like the foster parent agencies. We are listed on several, approved parenting classes. We get calls from North Carolina, from Tennessee, asking about our programs. We did a training, was it Chicago? That someone looked up and saw our training. We went and did a professional development training there for how to facilitate groups with the parents. So you're right, it's not just maybe you need it, it's just how do you stay ahead of the game?
Well, let's be honest though. If you're a parent, you need it. We all need it.
True.
Because, when I recently remarried and my wife had children, I had to go back and I had to look through the manual myself sometimes, because I'm dealing with a different, this is different. And how you approach that and, and to be effective. And so parenting is one of those ongoing things, it's ongoing. And I just think sometimes people I don't need to take parenting classes. It doesn't hurt anybody to learn some best practices when it comes to parenting, like what might work in today's society with today's youth. They're dealing with things that we never thought about, that we never was exposed to. So how can we truly be prepared to deal with the enemy we never saw?
True.
And so I think parenting classes are one of those things that are probably, it doesn't get the respect or the attention that it deserves, because all of us can learn to be better parents.
True.
Well, I think one thing that what parents tend to do is they identify successful parenting with resources and monetary things. You know, we live in a nice house, we drive good cars. You know, you got a nice cell phone. You know, you go on vacation. We tend to tie success to those things more than the moral things that our kids need. And a lot of times that causes, you know, kids, I've said many times, you know, being in poverty or being rich, it don't make you a great parent either way. You know, there are a lot of great parents that don't have anything, you know, and then there's a lot of poor parents that have a lot of resources and don't know how to use it. So it works both ways.
I'm curious, because parenting seems like such a big subject. So when you put together a parenting class, are there specific things that you know you're going to have to address, or do you base it on the needs of the group you've got?
Yes, yes, yes. And you're right. We put together a program over a 6-month period, and we go out there starting with different topics, but it depends on who walks through that door. The way our program is set up, the first probably half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour, we're getting to know each other, because there has to be a level of trust that has to be established, so they will begin to hear some of the things that we're sharing. And even though we may have a certain topic, depending on who's in the room, we may vary from that topic, because it's important for us to meet the needs of the parents that walk through that door. And as I mentioned before, everybody comes to that door. We have foster parents. We have parents whose children are in care because of Department of Children's Services. We have parents that have seen our flyers that, as you mentioned, want to learn more about what their child is going through. So anybody can walk through that door. And you're right. Right now, our series is on the Georgia Strengthening Families. There's some protective factors that studies have shown, if they're in place, families have a greater need of being successful. And so in January, we talked about parent resiliency. How can parents use stress and issues to help them through life? And this month in February, we're talking about child development. And when we say child development, it's from newborn to teens, because we have the tendency to focus on developmental issues when a child is preschool, but when they become school age and teen, we seem to kind of forget that they're still going through the developmental stages. You know, so each month we have a different focus, but again, it depends on who walks through that door.
And I'm guessing, well, you tell me, but I would guess that mothers need different instruction than fathers. So how do you deal with that?
Wait a minute. What you mean? What you trying to say? No.
But you know what? No.
I would think the needs are particular.
There's some truth in there, and one of the things I used to share with families, because a lot of times we get single-family households, and we have moms saying, how can I raise my sons, and dads, how can I raise my daughters? And I always tell them, first, you're raising a person that needs to be productive and respectful in the community. And then from there, you have to be sensitive to not so much as the different needs that a male or female child that they may have, but what that child individually needs to grow. And again, it goes back, and Charles alluded to it earlier, a lot of times how we're raised, that's what we know to parent. And one of the questions sometimes we talk about is, what's one thing that your parents did that you're going to continue with your child, and what's something that your parents did that you're not going to do with your children. So it makes you begin to realize that you're running the ship now. And I always tease, and I always get a joke. I tell you, your children didn't vote you in, and they can't vote you out. You know? And so, but you still need to listen to them, because by giving them a voice in that household, you're giving them a voice when they're outside the household. So if they know that they have choices inside their household, when they're out amongst their peers, you're able to see the expectations that you've placed, whether male or female child, also outside the household.
And even though I know that's true, that is so hard for me. Cause that's what my mama, this is my house. You gonna do what I said. So I know that's true, but that's one of those things I still have to struggle with is, okay, I need you to come up with some consequences, because if I come up with them, and so that is so true though, that learning what you learn and you said you wouldn't do, sometimes you fall back on that because that's what you know.
It's true.
And so we'll talk about this later.
We gotta take a break. Lots more to come. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're having a conversation with Charles and Regina Smith about their organization, Building Positive Families. How long has Building Positive Families existed?
It's been existing about 5 years.
Okay. So long enough for you to begin to see progress, I guess, with some of the folks you've dealt with to this point?
Yeah, we have a lot of testimonials and people that come back, call. A lot of times it's hard to get rid of people that come to your classes because they bond with you, and they're so excited and they gravitate to you because you gave them some training, you gave them some information that they know was very important during a crucial time in your life. Because we have a lot of people that come to us have had their kids removed from the home. They work in case plans through defects. So it's essential that they get a grip on what they're doing because they really want their children back. So a lot of these people are really locked in and looking at what you do, what you're teaching them. And then when they see that it helps them and it has made a difference in them, it draws them to you. So we got people, man, everywhere, man. And even with especially with our kids program, Life Skills program, it's, one thing that we discovered in the course of doing this was that in today's society, we've got issues all through the family. A while ago you was talking about teaching, maybe the mom has a different need than the dad. Well, one of the things that we're constantly struggling with and getting parents to understand is how important the other parent is it's crucial to the kid's development. Let's face it, we don't have a lot of dads around, especially in the minority community. And I don't think that they're viewed as being important. And you're trying to change a mindset because you know the value of having a father, not only in a son's life, but in a daughter's too. We're contracted with Rome City Schools to do life skills and mentoring. And I'm in Annie K. Davey a lot of the days. And I eat lunch every day with about 3 little girls. And they'll sit there and they'll argue about which one I'm their daddy. They'll say, no, he's my daddy. No, he's my daddy. It breaks my heart because it shows that they're starving for a male to be in their life. And so, you got to train the entire family now. You've got to work with parents. You got to work with the kids. Because if you just work with the kids, you send them back into a lot of times a corrupt environment. But if you bring the parents in and kind of guide them, because what we have to remember, a lot of times the parents that are raising these children, they're a product of the same environment. So they haven't had teaching either. If you hadn't had a background where you had quality people in your life, then there are a lot of things that you don't know. And sometimes even when you have had quality people, there are things you don't know and you can be taught. So it's powerful. It's really powerful.
Let's go back though, Charles. You said something that is key. That for me as a mentor through the 100 that is so frustrating. It's this mindset that fathers are not needed, and how we, and I have seen it so many times, how we alienate fathers a lot of times based on their financial ability. So if you don't have money to help me raise this child, and you ain't gonna be a part of this child's life. Now, fathers have responsibility financially, but still, it's better to have a father who cares about his child and interacts with his child who has no money to pay than it is to have one who pays but don't interact. And I think that's a mindset that has, especially within the minority community, that is not uncommon, and it is so socially acceptable for fathers not to be part of their children's lives.
Well, it was something, man, that I struggle with, because I am a big component of being a father. And you know, I tell people all the time, you know, I'm 54 years old. I've never saw my biological father in my life. Now, fortunately, I had a great uncle that raised me from the age of 2 that filled that void for me and gave me the necessary raising and upbringing that I needed to come out here and be a decent person in society. But it took me some time to understand what you have to remember is, I believe in the importance of fatherhood because I had someone there showing me that and teaching me those things. So one thing my great uncle that raised me used to always tell me, you only can do what you know. And once I began to just accept that, you know, because I look at a lot of young men and I think about, you know, man, the only difference between me and them is somebody decided to love me. And when you look at it from that perspective, it helps. It don't solve the problem by no means, but it gets you off this tear, because when you hear these things coming from these women, you know, what you have women that think that, oh, I can do it all by myself. I don't need him. I don't have to work with him or anything. Then you have men, because there's a little pushback, they'll just throw away all their rights and run away, which that's just as bad as the woman, you know, not allowing him to be there. Because I tell men all the time, you know, go fight for your rights and do what's right. So
what comes to mind is I had a young lady that was upset because her child's father only came around on birthdays, only came around on holidays, and maybe gave her $20 here or $20 there. But after we had a conversation with him, that's what his father did. So he thought he was being a good father because at least he was there at every birthday and every holiday. You know, and I'm just sharing that because a lot of our young men, as Charles was just sharing, they don't know what is the expectations of a father. And you're right, a lot of families look at the man as just bringing in money. If he's bringing in the money, then that's all he needs to do. And those are some of the things we talk about in our parenting classes. And you asked that question earlier. There's different skills that a mom brings to a child's life. There's different tools that a dad brings to a child. And Charles has said it over and over again, to have that balance, they need both. You know, for them to be the best person that they can be.
Well, it's definitely a mindset when we think about it. Like, for instance, you said you didn't know your biological father. I wasn't raised with my father. And I have a 9-year-old who doesn't live with me. And I even hate the term, you live in a single parent household. And I said, my son is not in a single parent household. He lives there, but he's reared by 2 parents. You know, and we have to, I think society, we create these boxes. So if his kid lives in a single parent household, they're at greater risk or something. And I think and you hit on it, we have to start changing, I think, our expectations of family and really have true dialogue about what is family, what is the role of a family. And I'm fortunate that with my 9-year-old, me and his mom co-parent. And we're, you know, so we share calendars, we know what's going on with him, and we're very active in decision making together and what we feel is what's best for him. And that's what I think we're missing a lot of times, that parents can't even co-parent their children.
Well, what they do, Greg, is they bring personal issues into the child's life. And I commend you on being able to do that. That is the problem. You know, they bring their issues with each other and put the child in the middle of it when the child actually has nothing to do with it. So they're bickering and fighting and fussing about various things, and a lot of times the mom will use the kid as leverage. you know. And then a lot of times the dad is not following through. He's not being productive. He's not doing what he's supposed to do, you know.
Or he uses his money for leverage.
Exactly. He uses money, whatever he can find.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest thing for us to do is to sit down as individuals, parents, mom and dad, and come to a common ground agreement and just say, look, this is not about us, this is about him or her. Let's do what's best for him. And you can still hate me or whatever, but when it comes to this kid, let's try to put those feelings behind and work with the kid. But that's a whole lot easier said than done.
It is.
Our June class is going to focus on co-parenting, just as you said, and you're right. And co-parenting is not only when both parents are in the household, even when they're separate households. Like you said, there has to be co-parenting because that's the only way that child's going to be successful.
And I mean, I'm very fortunate that my son's mom, I mean, even when it comes to a doctor or dentist, well, no, we make that decision what dentist, you know, we discuss all of that. But it goes back to, I think, also fathers advocating and accepting the responsibility, because, you know, it's one thing to have the rights, but if you're not playing that role, and you have to demand that. I mean, I'm gonna be an active father, and I'm gonna be a part of this whole process. And I just think it goes back to most of the kids that I know I have mentored over the years. When you get down to it, a lot of times it's about dysfunctional families. It really is.
Well, I'll give you an example, Greg. The other day I've been having a young man come by to see me at the school, and he's complaining about the mom not holding up visitation rights and not following the divorce decree. I said, well, listen, have you tried to talk to him? I went through a lot of steps to take. I said, well, you know what? If you can't come to some common agreement, then you need to protect your rights and file contempt and take it to court and mandate that you see your kids if it's that important to you. He said, sure, I want to do that. So I go look up the paperwork for him and show him, you know, what to do and how to do it and how to go about it, but he still hadn't done it. So a lot of times we talk the talk, but we won't walk the walk, you know, and that's another, and that's on the dads. You know, you don't have to put up with certain things. You have rights to change them, but a lot of times we won't take the necessary actions to change them.
True.
I'm sorry, Dahlia, I know you got it.
I was just going to ask, we just have a few seconds there, but if you had a sense of how many parents you've dealt with in these 5 years.
Oh my God. We come up, we do a number every year that we document. Wasn't it 300 and something last year?
Yeah, easily.
In a year?
Yeah. Easy, oh yeah.
Goodness.
Because we meet, the parenting classes are the first and second Tuesday of each month at Garden Lakes, Holy Trinity Lutheran Church in Garden Lakes. And then the fatherhood is the third and fourth Monday of each month.
Then we have life skills ongoing too.
Yeah. Got to take a break. We'll be right back with more. Do not go away.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals,
with opportunities outside the classroom,
where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the University System of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Charles and Regina Smith about their organization, Building Positive Families. If you want more information, if you want to contact the Smiths, you call this number, 706-346-7205, or go to the website, www.buildingpositivefamilies.org. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time on Community Watch.